Hidden millionaire discovers life-changing truth after 3 touching words from Black Waitress. Jason Carter leaned against the worn workbench in his garage apartment, the unmistakable scent of motor oil and metal mixing with the fresh morning air that drifted in through the window. With calloused hands, he tightened the last bolt on an old engine, feeling an unusual sense of satisfaction swell inside him. The hum of neighborhood children laughing outside brought him a sense of peace he never wanted to leave behind, yet he carried a hidden past cloaked in shame. Once a multimillionaire, Jason had turned his back on a gilded life, seeking purpose and belonging in the gritty reality of hard work. Every morning started the same way. He'd shuffle into Margie's diner, the lively heartbeat of the neighborhood, where the aroma of bacon and brewed coffee wrapped around him like a comforting embrace. It was there he would see Maya, the spirited waitress with her wide smile and vibrant energy that electrified the room. They didn't just share small talk. There was respect, empathy, and a connection that thrived on silent understanding. Their laughter echoed like a soothing balm on wounds neither had articulated. As he sank into his usual booth, sipping coffee from a chipped mug, his thoughts drifted. Would his family ever forgive him for choosing this simpler life? He glanced outside, watching the delight in the eyes of neighborhood kids playing football in the street. He wanted to reach out to them, to show them that something better existed. Just as he sank deeper into contemplation, Maya glided over, balancing a plate of pancakes as if they were the world's finest treasure. "You're worth it," she said, locking her gaze onto his. The words struck him like lightning, coursing through his veins, awakening long-dormant dreams and regrets. Time stood still. He could feel warmth flooding his chest, but guilt weighed heavy like a lead blanket. Did she see something in him he'd long buried? He immediately recoiled. The revelation cascaded over him should he continue to hide in the shadows, or face the truth of who he was? That question hung in the air, taunting him with the potential to change everything. Maybe my story could uplift this community, he thought, but the fear of revealing his true self held him back. It was a constant battle between self-sufficiency and the desire to help the widening gap between wealth and struggle gnawed at him. As the days passed, Maya's presence anchored his thoughts, making his heart race with every fleeting glance they shared. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the pivotal community event approached, where he could step into the light as a leader or retreat quietly into his past, the pressure mounted. Just as Jason contemplated crossing the threshold between anonymity and revelation, a familiar knock at the door shattered his carefully crafted world. His heart pounded, uncertainty rippling through his consciousness. What awaited him on the other side? Would he embrace the truth and risk everything? Or slip back into the safety of shadows, forever questioning his own worth? The door swung open, and life, as he knew it, hung perilously in the balance. With a deep breath, Jason steadied himself, the weight of the moment pressing on his chest like a vice. He opened the door, revealing Maya standing there, her smile as bright as the sun. She looked a little out of breath, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "Hey there. I was hoping to catch you before the big event," she greeted, her voice brimming with warmth. There was energy in her step, a spark that immediately pulled him from his swirling thoughts. "Yeah, just been thinking," he stammered, stepping aside to let her in. The space was cramped, filled with the smell of oil and the remnants of his haphazard projects, but in her presence, it felt different. Brighter. Thinking, huh? That's a dangerous pastime. She chuckled, her laughter filling the room, and for a moment, Jason felt the burden lift just a little. Maya took a seat at the edge of the workbench, resting her elbows on her knees. I'm really excited about the community fair tonight. It's going to be a chance for everyone to come together and celebrate. Yeah, it should be fun, he replied, but his mind flickered back to his dilemma. Would he reveal his identity? Could he open up to the very people he had distanced himself from? What is going on in that head of yours? Maya's gaze pierced through him. You're quiet. I know you. There is something you want to say. He leaned against the wall, torn between the urge to confide in her, to expose the truth lurking beneath the surface. Maya, before he could finish, she interrupted, whatever it is, just know that you're safe here. I wouldn't ask if I didn't care. Her sincerity wrapped around him like a warm blanket. The truth of her words made the air thick with possibility. Safe, he whispered, the word echoing in his mind. Could he really trust her? Maya, I was once someone important, but I threw it all away, he blurted out, the confession rushing out before he could stop it. I walked away from millions to find something more meaningful, but it feels like I've been hiding ever since. Her eyes widened slightly, holding his gaze steady. Jason, it's okay. You don't have to hide it from me. We all have struggles. I don't know if the people here will accept me if they find out who I really am, he confessed, his heart racing. I want to help, but no buts. You've already made a difference here, just by being part of this community. You're more than your past. Her voice rose slightly, full of conviction that made his heart swell. You can choose to uplift this community. Jason felt a surge of determination, battling the inner voices that told him he didn't belong. Could he really use his past not to define him, but to inspire others? Maya, what if they don't accept me? What if they turn away? Then you stand tall. You keep being you, she responded, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. It's not about what you have or where you come from. It's about what you choose to do next. Her words reverberated in his mind, igniting a flicker of hope. For the first time in a long while, he felt a sense of urgency, a yearning to break free from the chains of his past. I'll think about it, he promised, the weight of uncertainty still hovering, but there was a glimmer of possibility. I'll be right there with you, Jason. Maya smiled, the warmth of her words kindling something new within him. As they made their way to the fair, Jason's heart raced with every step. He was stepping into the spotlight facing not just the community, but also himself. Could he turn this moment into his opportunity for redemption? But just as hope filled the air, a figure lurked in the distance, a shadow from his past that threatened everything he had just begun to embrace. What would this confrontation mean for Jason? Would he crumble, or could he stand firm against the tides of his life once and for all? Jason's pace slowed as they approached the heart of the fair. The vibrant tints and colorful lights buzzed with life, laughter, and chatter. But every sound around him faded into a low hum, his focus pinned on the figure in the distance, the familiar silhouette that twisted his stomach. Are you okay? Maya asked, her hand brushing against his elbow, grounding him. Yeah, it's just he hesitated, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. That guy over there, I know him. Maya's gaze followed his, her brow furrowing in concern. Who is he? He used to work for me. He was part of my life before. Jason took a deep breath as the truth weighed heavily on his shoulders. Before I left it all behind. As they neared the wooden stalls filled with homemade crafts and treats, the figure turned, and Jason's heart dropped. It was Carl, his former executive assistant, who had always been privy to his highs and lows. The man spotted him too, his eyes widening in recognition, and for an instant, time froze. Jason. I can't believe it's really you, Carl said, breaking through the bustling fair. There was a hint of surprise mixed with an unmistakable tension. Hey, Carl, Jason managed, his throat dry. Maya stood beside him, her presence a shield as they faced the past. I never expected to see you here. Carl's voice dropped cautiously. I heard you'd gone off the grid. Just thought it was a rumor. He glanced at Maya, a mix of curiosity and judgment flickering in his eyes. I did, Jason admitted, his voice steadier than he felt. I needed a change. Change, huh? Carl glanced around, the worried lines of his face contrasting the festive atmosphere around him. You just kinda disappeared. We were worried. Maya felt the heaviness of the moment. She squeezed Jason's hand, pushing him to continue speaking, to not let this moment unravel him. I know I walked away from it all, Jason said, pulling strength from her support. But I wanted to find something real, something beyond the money. Real? Like this? Carl gestured dismissively at the fair. Look, if you're trying to start fresh, that's great. But do you really think they'll accept you for what you did? For who you were? The words cut deep, dragging Jason back into the shadow of self-doubt. He felt the familiar creeping sense of shame, clawing at the walls he had just begun to build. Maya believes I can make a difference here, he said, looking at her, letting her warmth wash over him. I want to help this community, not for redemption, but to be part of something meaningful. Good luck with that, Carl replied, a trace of skepticism lacing his voice. People around here know the truth, and they might not be as forgiving as you hope. In that moment, Jason felt his resolve quaking like a fragile sapling in the wind. This was the lifeline to his past unfurling, the treachery of guilt threatening to pull him under. Maya faced Carl, her green eyes fierce, reflecting an inner strength that Jason yearned to emulate. She's right, she said suddenly, her voice unwavering. Everyone deserves a chance to show who they are now, not only who they were. You know that, Carl? He tensed, caught off guard by Maya's honesty. That's easy to say until it's tested, he replied, his dismissive tone falling flat. Jason's heart raced as an unexpected thought took root. What if this is my test? He mused aloud, glancing between them. What if tonight could change everything? But Carl shook his head, the skepticism not letting go. You think you could overcome a lifetime of decisions in one evening? Yes, Jason found himself saying, the fire ignited within him. I have to try. The momentum shifted, the noise around them came rushing back like a wave crashing against the shore. The fair buzzed with energy, hope intertwined with uncertainty. Jason, what do you want to do next? Maya's voice came soft but direct. He took a deep breath, the weight of Carl's doubt mingling with the support he felt from Maya. I want to face everyone. I want to stand up and share my truth. If I can just connect, maybe it's the first step. As he locked eyes with Carl, defiance ignited inside him. But as he turned to head deeper into the throngs of people, another shadow moved in the corner of his vision, a familiar face, a threat looming over the newfound hope he'd just grasped. Jason's heart sank. Would facing his past free him, or would it suffocate his last chance at redemption? What awaited him now? Jason's heart raced as he spotted a figure weaving through the crowd. The laughter and chatter felt distant, muffled by the roar of anxiety coursing through him. He turned his focus back to Maya, who was watching him with those encouraging eyes, sparkling like the lights above them. Let us find a quieter spot, she suggested, sensing the whirlwind of emotions within him. He nodded, grateful for her steady presence. As they navigated the throngs of fairgoers, the scent of caramel apples and cinnamon permeated the air. The vibrancy of the fair contrasted sharply with the turmoil raging inside Jason. Escape seemed just a few steps away, yet the pull of his past felt like an anchor, dragging him into darker waters. They reached a small alcove, tucked behind a colorful booth selling handmade jewelry. Here, the noise faded, and Jason could breathe. But that familiar face still lingered in his mind, Carl's skeptical gaze threatening to haunt him. Maya, he began, his voice trembling slightly. What if I really can't change? What if they see me as just who I was? Look at me, she said, her tone firm yet tender. You're not that person anymore. You've taken a massive step just by coming here. That counts for something. A flicker of hope shone within him, but self-doubt quickly quashed it. What if it's not enough? What if they never let me in? They'll never know unless you give them a chance, she replied, her sincerity enveloping him like a warm blanket. It's like diving into a pool. You can stand on the edge and wonder, or you can jump and discover how refreshing the water feels. He took a moment to consider her words, feeling the weight of the choices he had in front of him. I want to jump, he admitted, his heart swelling with determination. But how do I start? By being honest. Just share how you feel. Show them your truth, Maya encouraged. You faced worse. In that moment, Jason felt a spark of clarity, a vision of what could be. Okay, he said, nodding slowly. I can do this. As they prepared to rejoin the festivities, Jason spotted a small stage in the distance. A few locals were gathered around, a microphone set up for anyone willing to share. Maybe I could tell my story there, he suggested, his heart fluttering with both fear and excitement. That's the spirit. Maya grinned, her enthusiasm infectious. But just as they stepped back into the crowd, another shadow breached his bubble of courage. Jason's stomach dropped as he locked eyes with a tall figure, one he hadn't seen in years. It was a former partner from his corporate life, Rick, sharp eyes glancing over the crowd, sipping on something expensive, clad in a suit that screamed wealth. What is he doing here? Jason whispered, panic creeping back into his chest. Does it matter? Maya asked, her voice unwavering. Focus on your truth, not the distractions. But Rick's mere presence was a potent reminder of everything Jason had tried to escape. What if Rick revealed secrets that could dismantle Jason's new beginning? Jeopardize his chance to be accepted in this community? Jason felt like he was teetering on the edge of a precipice. Breath quickening, he took a step back while Maya stood resolute at his side. Jason, remember, this is about you. No one else matters. Could it really be that simple? Could he just push past the fear and give voice to the truth he carried? As the crowd around the stage continued to swell, he felt the weight of both opportunity and dread collide. Was this his moment to step into the light, or would shadows from his past drag him back into darkness? The choice was his, and he had to make it soon. Jason breathed in deeply, determined to make a stand, even as the threat loomed closer. What would he say when he finally picked up that microphone? Jason stood frozen, the vibrant fare around him fading into a blur. All he could see was Rick's sharp smile cutting through the crowd like a knife. The laughter, the lights, the joyful chatter, they felt like a world away. His pulse thudded in his ears, drowning out everything except the nearness of his fears. Maya nudged him gently. Hey, look at me. Remember what you said? You want to jump? This is your chance. Her voice was steady, a lifeline pulling him back from the ledge. But he's the last person I want to see right now, Jason said, his heart sinking. Desperate memories played through his mind. The meetings filled with hollow promises, the empty victory celebrations behind closed doors. Rick had been a master of manipulation, smoothing over the cracks while holding everyone at arm's length. Maya took a breath, her eyes unwavering. You can't let him control your story any longer. It's time for you to tell yours. The crowd at the stage grew busier, their energy palpable. He glanced at the microphone again, the very symbol of his potential to speak his truth. If he waited too long, the moment would slip away, just like his past always had. He turned back to Maya. If I share, what if he exposes me? Then you expose yourself first. Your truth outweighs any words he might hurl. You've come too far to back down now. Jason's heart raced as he stared at the microphone. The thought of revealing his struggles, his mistakes, it was terrifying, yet liberating. There was power in vulnerability, in claiming what had been done to him and what he had to learn. Just then, Rick sauntered closer, scanning the area like a hawk. The memories flooded back. The nights spent working late, the sacrifices made for success that twisted into hollow achievements. Jason swallowed hard, the weight of the past almost suffocating. "Listen," Maya urged softly, "you have a story that matters. People need to hear it." He looked into her eyes, the faith she held for him shining through his clouds of doubt. "You really think I can do this?" he asked. "Absolutely. You said it yourself, you want to jump. Don't let fear keep you on the edge." Gathering his courage, Jason exhaled slowly. "Okay, I'll do it. I'm ready." With each step towards the stage, the crowd made room, their faces mixed with curiosity and excitement. His nerves danced like wildfire, but he could feel the warmth of Maya's support. She always knew how to rein in the chaos. As he approached the microphone, time slowed. He could see Rick's expression shifting to something darker, a slight smirk as if he already had a plan to undermine Jason. But this time, Jason wouldn't be afraid. Grasping the mic, he took a deep breath, the vibrant colors of the fair momentarily fading into a singular focus as truth. The noise beyond the stage fell silent as he found his voice. "I stand before you today to share a part of my journey." Suddenly, a shout from the crowd broke his thoughts. A voice, rich with warmth and authenticity, cried out, "You got this. Tell your story." There was something about that voice, something familiar. It was empowering. He glanced towards the sound, but his focus remained on the microphone. In that moment, he knew he wasn't just speaking to them. He was reclaiming a piece of himself that had been lost too long. Each word felt like an unbinding spell. What would he share? The truth, the mistakes, the lessons learned. Could he hold his own under Rick's looming threat? With the audience's eyes on him, Jason took another breath, ready to leap into the depths of his own narrative. But how far into the truth would he go before the shadows crept in again? As Jason's heart pounded in his chest, a wave of emotion surged through him. The stage lights glared, but their intensity felt less intimidating now than it had moments ago. He locked eyes with Maya, her encouraging nod pushing him further into his resolve. The world may have blurred, but here stood people, strangers, who sought connection, understanding, and the very stories that bind us. "I stand before you today to share a part of my journey." His voice trembled, the microphone slightly shaking in his grip. Uncertainty trickled in again, but the echo of that familiar voice lingered, amplifying his courage. "I am Jason, and it's been a tough road. I've been afraid to speak up, afraid of being judged by someone who has always been a part of my mistakes." Rick's presence loomed like a black cloud, but Jason chose to let the warm memories of camaraderie and resilience wash over him. "It wasn't always this way. I used to think success meant wealth and status, but I was wrong. True richness comes from truth, from sharing ourselves, the good, the bad, and everything in between." He glanced toward Rick, whose smirk faltered. The crowd shifted with murmurs, captivated. Some leaned forward, their faces painted with compassion and curiosity. Jason continued, each word a stronger heartbeat than the last. "I struggled with feeling incomplete despite all I had. For too long, I allowed someone else's opinions to define me. I lost friends, I lost pieces of who I was, all in the name of trying to be perfect." "Hey, you're doing great!" shouted another voice from the crowd, lifting spirits even higher. It reminded him of a time long forgotten, when he simply enjoyed life without judgment. Feeling the surge of warmth from the audience, he dared to peel back more layers. "I made choices that hurt others. I focused on my career rather than my relationships. neglecting the very fabric of what makes us human. It took a long time for me to realize that success isn't just about the numbers, it's about the connections we forge. A soft gasp came from the right side of the crowd. Each breath Jason took felt like an explosion of liberation, and as he shared more, the harsh grip of the past began to loosen. I remember a time when I had nothing but dreams and hope. I had to claw my way to find my voice, to reclaim the parts of me that Rick wanted to keep buried. There was a sense of power woven into the vulnerability, integrating those struggles into triumphs as Jason began recounting his darkest moments. For my journey, I needed to face the truth. I needed to forgive myself for letting fear dictate my life. As he spoke, he caught sight of Rick stepping forward, a dark shadow creeping closer. "What are you doing, Jason?" Rick hissed, voice low and dangerous. "You sure you want to do this?" Jason's stomach twisted, but the strength of the crowd surged like a wave at his back. "Yes, I do. I'm breaking free from your grasp," he shouted, the confidence spilling forth like a floodgate opening. With newfound purpose, Jason continued. "Life is too short to remain silent. We are all here to connect, to understand one another, to share our stories." The energy shifted. He could see heads nodding, recognition mirrored in shared experiences. This was more than a performance. It felt like a gathering of souls seeking connection. Then Rick laughed sharply, cutting through the rising tide. "You really think you can just walk away? You think they'll believe you over me?" But Jason stood taller, heart pounding with resilience. "Believe me or not, this is my truth. And it's time for me to reclaim my narrative, not just for me, but for anyone who has been silenced." The crowd erupted, cheers blending with applause. That warmth enveloped him like a cozy blanket. Suddenly, he felt lighter, as if the years of burdens were lifted. This was only the beginning, but Jason knew he wasn't alone anymore. The essence of community surged, an embracing tide, as he realized the depth of his own strength. But even in moments of triumph, doubt whispered on the wind, threatening to creep back in. What was Rick planning? Would his attempt to stifle Jason's truth expose something deeper? And as their eyes locked, Jason felt the tension thickening, a storm brewing, and the battle was far from over. Jason stood there, electric energy buzzing around him, but he felt the weight of Rick's presence like a physical force. Every drop of fear he battled now threatened to resurface as the laughter from the crowd fell into a murmur. His mind raced. What would Rick do next? He sensed the tension heightening, the quiet before a storm, as Rick stepped closer. "Look at you," Rick sneered, his words dripping with insincerity. "You're chasing a fairy tale. They don't know you like I do." The crowd shifted, their initial support now mixed with uncertainty. Jason could hear an audience member whispering, "Who is this guy?" The realization washed over him. Rick was good at twisting perceptions, sowing doubt. But this time, Jason was ready. Instead of getting lost in those memories of fear and shame, he rented space in hope and strength. "You know, Rick," he said, his voice steady, "you're right about one thing. They don't know me like you do." He took a step forward, the words spilling from his heart. "But they're about to." He could see faces in the crowd turn towards Rick, intrigued but waiting for the real story. "You see," Jason continued, "the person I used to be wasn't living at all. I was a ghost, lost behind the icy walls of expectations and perfection. I wagered my sense of self for a facade you convinced me was success." Rick's grin faltered slightly. Jason pressed on, emboldened. "I don't need to prove myself anymore. I'm standing here, sharing the real truth, not just my past mistakes, but also the dreams I've kept buried under the weight of your judgment." A few heads nodded in agreement, support radiating from the crowd, a wave of solidarity charging him. "Listen, life isn't just about the mistakes we've made. It's about where we go from here." Jason's heart swelled as he realized he wasn't trying to convince Rick. He was speaking to everyone else, those who felt silenced, trapped, or manipulated. We all have stories not just of failure, but of hope, healing, and love. It's okay to be imperfect. As the crowd responded with a mix of claps and cheers, Rick recoiled, eyes narrowing. You think that's enough? They LLC through your lies. But Jason smiled, feeling his strength grow. This is no lie, it's my truth. I've spent too long running from who I am, allowing you to shape my worth. No more. This community has opened my eyes to the reality that kicks us when we're down doesn't define us. Real success, he went on, energy flooding his voice, comes from the moments we own our truth and let others see us. It's about the connections we make, not the material things we collect. A new voice rose from the back. A woman stood, her gaze fierce but kind. We've all been there. We need to hear this. Keep going. Jason accepted that encouragement like a lifeline. Thank you. We're not here to throw stones at one another for our pasts. I stand here not just for myself, but for anyone who has felt the sting of being less than they are. It's about lifting each other up. He locked eyes with Maya, her unwavering support a beacon in the storm. Suddenly, he could feel the tide of the crowd shift. They were with him. But Rick wasn't finished. And what if I expose everything you've hidden? Your secrets, the parts of you no one knows? Jason's heart dropped, but an unexpected calm washed over him. Was this fear? No, it was determination. Go ahead. If revealing my past brings healing to someone else, then let it be. I'm not ashamed anymore. The gasp echoed in the room. Could it be? The tension hung thick in the air, amplifying the intensity, as everyone held their breath, waiting for Rick's reaction. Then let us see how they feel when the truth comes out, Rick taunted, but Jason had something stronger, the truth. He took a step back, wanting to hold on to this moment, to cement the courage and the strength he felt radiating in that space. But would Rick follow through on his threat? Would the weight of secrets buried for so long resurface, dragging Jason back? The next chapter of this confrontation was just beginning, and as anxiety danced in his gut, he refused to be afraid. What lies underneath? What will Jason uncover next? Jason stood there, his heart pounding in his chest. The murmurs of the crowd faded, the air thick with anticipation. Time felt suspended as Rick's eyes glinted with menace. There was a sick thrill in the villain's demeanor, a cruel delight in his perceived power. Who was this person standing before Jason? The ghost of his past, or a shadow of who he could finally become? You think the LL just stand by you? You don't even know what truth means. Rick spat, his words sharp like knives. Some people in the audience shifted uncomfortably, their unity tested by uncertainty. But what if Jason's truth held more power than Rick's threats? With renewed determination, Jason straightened up, letting the energy of the moment embrace him. They've seen someone who was lost. They've seen me beaten down, he replied, heat radiating from his being. The faces in the crowd, filled with hope and empathy, grew clearer. But they also see the fight. The truth is, we all struggle in some way. A small flicker of doubt crossed Rick's face. For the first time, Jason could sense the shift not just in the crowd, but within Rick himself. Maybe there was an opening. Let us talk about truth, Jason continued, voice steadier. For years, you shaped my fear and filled my mind with doubts that didn't belong to me. But it's not all about the mess I made. It's about the strength we can all find in healing. He paused, his gaze darting to Maya again. Her encouraging smile fueled his fire. We're not perfect. We're not just our mistakes. A low murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, a collective heartbeat echoing in the room. Rick stepped back, his cocky facade cracking. You think you can control this? I know things. His eyes darted around, perhaps searching for allies in the fading shadows. Things they wouldn't want to hear. Jason took a deep breath. Maybe. But what I do know is that honesty can break chains, while fear only keeps us captive. I'm not afraid of you revealing my past because I own it. I've lived it, and now I'm transforming it. Jason's voice rose stronger now, pushing aside the shadows of doubt woven by Rick. And if I can do that, so can each and every one of you. He gestured to his audience, galvanizing their spirits. We are not defined by our lowest moments. The crowd erupted, claps and cheers cascading through the air. Jason felt electric, not from fear, but from the grounding energy of acceptance. He glanced towards Rick, standing there momentarily stunned. Doubt spread across Rick's features, and Jason took a step towards him. You don't own me anymore, he said, a wave of calm washing over him. You can expose my flaws, but that one T changed my truth. What happens next, only I can decide. Suddenly, a voice from the crowd rose, crystal clear. And we stand with him. An older woman, her cheeks flushed from emotion, stepped forward. This community has risen from ashes before, and will rise again. A collective cheer swelled, raising the stakes. Jason felt stronger with each voice joining his own. Let us take back the narrative. Maya shouted, her spirit igniting the crowd full of life. They were no longer merely spectators. They were allies in Jason's battle. But just then, Rick sneered, embracing the chaos. You think this will save you? His laughter skittered like broken glass. You really don't understand the weight of your secrets, do you? Jason felt his breath catch again. Did Rick truly know more? As the crowd echoed their support, a flicker of fear crept in. Unearthed secrets felt like shadows dancing just behind the light of his truth. Would they weigh him down, pulling him back into darkness? Jason squared his shoulders, eyes hardening with resolve. Let the truth come out, Rick. I'm ready. As the crowd roared their approval, Jason caught a glimpse of Rick's expression. The smirk that had once held power began to wane, replaced by something darker. What awaited him in that looming truth? Would revealing more of himself be a step toward liberation or a plunge into despair? It was only just the beginning, and Jason braced himself for whatever twisted revelation was yet to come. Would he remain standing in the light, or would the shadows engulf him once more? The tension in the air crackled as Rick straightened, sensing a shift he hadn't anticipated. The crowd had started to lean into Jason's message, their energy morphing into something powerful. It stirred hope in Jason's heart, even as uncertainty gnawed at him. Ready for what? Rick taunted, an edge of desperation creeping into his voice. To have those skeletons come out and dance? I've got a show just waiting for your grand reveal. Jason swallowed hard, refusing to show any hint of fear. He could feel the pulse of the crowd behind him, their collective strength warming his resolve. This was more than just a confrontation with Rick. It was a reckoning. There was something liberating in facing the potential fallout. Let us not bait each other with threats, Jason replied, striving for a calm he didn't fully feel. He raised his voice slightly, prompting silence from the crowd, all eyes on him. The truth isn't something I'm afraid of anymore. Rick laughed, but it was hollow. The sound echoed with uncertainty. Tell them. Tell them about the life you hid, the choices that could bury you alive. Let us see how strong they think you are. Jason hesitated briefly, a flicker of past pain rising within him. Would sharing his deepest secret empower him, or unravel everything he had built? But retreating wasn't an option. Here's the truth, Jason began, voice steady yet vulnerable. I've made mistakes that haunt me. I carried shame for too long. But those experiences taught me resilience and growth. He glanced around the crowd, meeting their hopeful eyes. They were clinging to his words, waiting for the next revelation. I lost my way in addiction. I hurt the ones I loved, and that guilt, it can be suffocating. A murmur rippled through the audience. Jason felt the weight of their empathy settle around him like a warm embrace. But that past doesn't define who I am, he persisted. It shaped me, sure, but it also ignited my desire to fight for a better future, to help others who feel lost. He could see people nodding, some even wiping away tears. Jason's heart lifted. Maybe his words were cutting through the darkness. Rick's expression twisted in frustration as Jason spoke. The crowd's energy was shifting entirely toward Jason, leaving Rick scrambling for control. Is that all you've got? Rick shouted, trying to regain command. You think the LL still rally behind you? They want a hero, not a washed-up loser. And yet, there was the flicker of hope within the crowd turned into a flame that licked at Rick's facade. You're wrong, Jason said, his voice stronger than ever. They want someone real. They want honesty. A supportive cheer erupted again, fueling Jason's momentum. He noticed Maya in the front row, her unwavering belief seeping into his core like sunlight breaking through a stormy sky. Let me remind you, Rick, Jason continued, addressing the audience again. We all struggle. We all have scars. But those scars can be symbols of strength, proof that we can rise from our lowest moments. Rick's bravado crumbled a little more. You don't know what's coming, Jason. Secrets can destroy. I've hidden them for too long, Jason replied, his voice firm. They lose their power when brought into the light. I know that now. Rick's face darkened, a realization dawning in his eyes. But what about what you still have to lose? The crowd was silent now, the air heavy with anticipation. Jason felt the world shrink down, focusing on this moment of truth. Was it Rick's power he had been fearing all along? Or was it the lingering shadows of his past that could still reach out and drag him back into despair? Whatever it is, I'm ready, Jason affirmed, stepping forward defiantly. I'm prepared to face the truth, and I hope you'll stand with me. The crowd erupted into cheers, voices rising like a tidal wave. Jason's heart swelled with pride and fear. He could feel the unseen chains of his past begin to rattle, but would they release him into freedom or drag him back? Some secrets were still lurking, waiting like predators in the shadows. Jason glanced at Rick, realizing this battle was far from over. What final blow would Rick deliver? What deeper truths were still hidden in the darkness? Jason took a deep breath, heart racing. No matter what lay ahead, he wouldn't back down. He would find a way to reconcile his truths. And he hoped he wasn't too late. As the cheers from the crowd filled the air, Jason stood at the precipice of his own revelation. Rick's eyes glinted with malicious intent, a predatory smile curling on his lips. You're brave, he scoffed, but bravery has its limits. You want to open the floodgates? Let us see how far you're willing to go. Jason's heart raced, fear prickling at the edges of his confidence. The warmth and support from the crowd felt like a lifeline, but Rick's shadow loomed larger, a reminder of the life he had fought so hard to escape. It was do or die. Enough games, Rick! Jason shouted, his voice echoing over the crowd like a shot fired in the silence. I won't live under the weight of secrets any longer. He took a moment to steady himself, feeling the waves of support crashing over him from the audience. The laughter and joy that had once been a mere longing in his heart was now the soundtrack of his new reality. I once allowed you to dictate my worth, he continued, locking eyes with Rick, but no longer. You may want to unearth my past, but I will control my future from here on out. Rick chuckled darkly. Ah, but can you face what is buried? You think you can walk away and leave it all behind? There are truths lurking, things you've kept from everyone. Go ahead, Jason said, a surge of adrenaline shooting through him. Let it come. Let us air it all out. I don't fear the past anymore. The words burst forth, fortified by months of pent-up emotion. The audience felt electric, amplifying his confidence. He shifted his gaze across the faces in the crowd. They mirrored hope, and it wove itself into his spirit. Rick, for all his bravado, hesitated, now a crack appearing in his facade, a prospect of vulnerability seeping into his demeanor. The makeup of the crowd had shifted, their loyalty beginning to deflect towards Jason. All this time, Rick had played puppet master. Now, for the first time, Jason was about to cut the strings. "Jason," Rick pleaded in a strained voice, desperation creeping in, "don't do this. You can back down. Fall back into anonymity." "It's easier?" Jason shot back, stepping forward, his heart roaring with newfound empowerment. "Easier is no longer a choice. I choose to stand up and share my journey, my failures, my recovery, and everything I've become through hardship. What I've learned is that our struggles don't define us, but they shape us." An elderly man in the crowd nodded in agreement. "That is right. We all have our burdens. Don't let him pull you back down." Jason smiled, feeling buoyed. He could sense that people saw the truth in his eyes, the raw vulnerability that had been amplified by the shared experience of struggle, loss, and triumph. He could feel the crowd as energy shift. They were rallying, their collective spirit rising like a phoenix from the ashes. "Rick, you remind me of who I used to be, afraid and shackled by my own insecurities," Jason said. "You live off control. But guess what? You no longer hold power over me. Tonight is about authenticity. It's about climbing out from the shadows." Rick's confidence faltered under the intensity of Jason's resolve, but he still held on to his mask. "You really think these people are going to forgive everything? Where do you think you belong, Jason? In a diner with dreams?" A hush fell over the crowd, tension twisting in the air. With eyes blazing, Jason pushed forward. "This time, I don't need forgiveness. I need connection. I need to show that we can rise as a community. It's not just me standing here. It's every single person who has ever faced their own struggles." The crowd erupted. Cheers, claps, and cries of support resonated louder, cascading through the evening air. The energy propelled Jason further, anchoring his determination. "I am worthy," he proclaimed, his voice steady as he turned to face them all. "Worthy of joy, worthy of connection, even if it means exposing my flaws. I own my choices, and I'm committed to helping others find their voice in the process. This is a safe space." Sensing Rick's mounting fury, Jason couldn't afford to back down. "You can't intimidate me anymore," he declared, asserting control over his narrative. "And I refuse to live my life fearing what you may say. Transparency is camaraderie. Let us talk truth. Let us embrace vulnerability together." And there it was, the need to lift up, to succeed not just for himself, but for those who would follow. A woman in the audience stepped forward, her eyes glimmering with appreciation. "We've all stumbled, and together we can heal. Speak your truth." "Thank you. Everyone here matters. Your struggles and stories help us build each other up." "Nothing can overshadow that," Jason replied, empowered by her support. But Rick smirked, regaining a shred of his confidence. "You think they will accept you? You're wasting this moment." "I'm wasting nothing," Jason shot back, "because I stand here proudly. If I inspire one person today to stand and share their truth, then I've accomplished what I came here to do." Rick's face contorted with frustration, the audience now completely against him, a solidarity born from the shared pain and the collective desire to rise together. Then, in that electrifying moment, an explosion of camaraderie sparked across the gathering, a reminder of their upward journey as a community rooted in kindness, respect, and connection. "Together, we are stronger," Jason called into the crowd, emboldened by the resonance of shared understanding. "Together, we can begin to heal." And with that declaration, Jason turned back to Rick, a flicker of defiance in his gaze. Whatever Rick had hidden, the secrets he believed would unravel, Jason wouldn't hold power over him anymore. Standing amidst authenticity, Jason had reclaimed himself. The crowd roared. Voices rose like an anthem of unity. They rallied behind Jason as he embraced this transformative moment, ready to face whatever unfolded next. There was strength in numbers, and they would rise together. And suddenly, for the first time in a long time, Jason felt free. As the cheers echoed through the night, and the lights dimmed around him, he finally understood. The shadows may linger, but they would no longer define him. It was time to embrace the journey ahead. So what now? What lies in the uncharted territory of their collective renewal? There was more to explore and more to discover, but the first steps had been taken together. Now I need you to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it's crucial for us. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. I want to hear your stories. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support and be part of our journey as we uplift each other. Don't wait not even one more second to make your voice heard. Only true fans understand the importance of standing strong together.